Mrs. Grace Yussuf, a journalist with the News Agency of Nigeria, has shared her experiences in the profession to encourage younger female journalists finding it difficult to cope. Yussuf, who is a deputy editor-in-chief in the agency, shared her experiences in her book titled The Journalist, the Woman, and Her Faith, which was launched in Abuja. She explained that the decision to write the book came out of her desire to document her experiences as a female journalist and a practicing Christian.
The decision to write this book came out of a desire to document my experience as a female journalist and a practicing Christian who promised herself that doing so would serve posterity well. I believe that this will not only be a good reading for many, but it will also go a long way to encouraging younger female journalists who may be finding it difficult to cope, especially if they had to hold on to their faith and values. It is my intention, too, that this book will serve as a story of resilience, hard work, moral rectitude, a journey of faith and adherence to Christian virtues, even in the practice of an utterly social relevant profession as journalism. I say this because there is this general belief that journalists are unserious and frivolous. This puts women in a precarious position as it makes them more vulnerable than their male counterparts. For a female journalist and a Christian for that matter, this vulnerability could be both internal and external, and this may thus eventually affect one's life, profession, and even her marriage. As we often say, that perception is powerful, and the way the world sees a thing goes a long way in defining that thing, whether wrong or right. To dispel such an opinion once formed will take eternity. You can agree with me. Therefore, it is better to avoid creating unnecessary opportunities for women to be ill spoken about just because of their callings or the profession they practice. At this junction, I want to salute the courage of some veteran women journalists, such as Dr. Mrs. Abike Erewa, I've mentioned that before, Chief Mrs. Mojima Konjuola, and among others, for their passion, resoluteness, perseverance in journalism profession. They made their marks, they made their marks and have continued to be sources of inspiration to women journalists to break the ceiling in the profession.
Mr. Joe Bankole, a media consultant, while reviewing the book, said that Yussuf, having spent her life as a working journalist from 1992 to 2023, shared her 31 years of tutelage, frustrations, disappointment, sweet memories, and all-round victory. According to him, the combination of the situations made her a success in the profession, which is something to savor.
As I have said, the journalist, the woman, and her faith is a memoir of our beautiful sister, colleague, and friend, detailing her experience in the News Agency of Nigeria, where she spent her life as a working journalist from 1992 to 2023, after a short stint in the private sector. That makes it a period of 31 solid years of tutelage Thank you. That makes it a period of 31 years of tutelage, frustrations, disappointments, sweet memories, and all-round victory. The combination of the above listed situations made her a success in the course of this interesting journey and something to savor. Journalism is not a profession I deliberately went into, says Grace in that book, and I quote further. It said, however, I found myself in it after a few years in the private sector, and I grew to learn, embrace, and love it. I can safely say it paid off.
On her part, Professor Joy Izilu, the Executive Director, Women Aid Collective, represented by Mrs. Ijoma Iziude, Head, Department of Legal Unit, WACO, said that Yussuf balanced her role as a mother and journalist.
The journalist, the woman, and her faith When I picked up her book, I saw a woman who, despite, regardless of all the stereotyping in the industry, she was able to balance the role of a mother, her profession as a journalist, and also her role as a mother, a woman. She succeeded in having that balance, which is one of the reasons why we are here, to narrate her memoirs. And even reading her memoirs, I'm not a journalist, but I'm a lawyer, I could say that it is worthy of emulation, and for younger ones coming up in the industry, for you to go through this wonderful memoir she has written, to see how she was able to narrate her stories in the industry, telling us about the challenges, just to tell us that life begins, a journey of a lifetime begins with a step.
Similarly, Mr. Femi Adesina, Special Assistant to the President on Media, represented by Ms. Patience Tiligado, Assistant Director, Information, State House Abuja, commended the author for the initiative.
Before I go on, I want to congratulate the author, Mrs. Grace Yussuf, for this landmark achievement. It is important that people put their thoughts in writing. It is not easy to write because it takes a lot of guts and wisdom. I hope that people that are in her field and other journalists will also write their experiences for the benefit of our country. The subject areas on which they can base their writing include our culture, children, education, politics, economy, health, diplomacy, business, life experience, and so much more. It is our duty to support good policies of government geared towards development and well-being of populace. That's why I'm here on behalf of Mr. Adesina to support our colleague and one of our own. Let me digress a bit. The special advisor asked me to convey his special appreciation to the News Agency of Nigeria for producing a very fine crop of dedicated and committed journalists with whom I've had the privilege of working with whom are seated here as well. I wish you all the best as you retire from the service on Tuesday, the 16th of May. I must say, 60 looks good. I saw you dancing here in your kitty heels, and I was wondering, I'm like, okay, I hope I'll be able to dance like that when I get to that age. God bless you, ma'am.